I'm going to show you how to grow arugula. In my mind, one of the easier ones to grow. There's a lot of steps to growing it that you don't get with other microgreens. Now remember that I like doing soil followed by coco coir. So right now I've just got my soil in here and I'm compacting it. And I absolutely love this scoop because I can push it right on the edge and push it over and see. I don't know if you can see that on the screen, but I can get right next to the edge. And I actually even clean the tray off from soil that's against the edge. You want the weight to be even across it no matter where the seeds are. Okay, I've got that good and compacted. Now, on doing arugula, what I'm going to do is I'm going to wet this down now. A lot of them I just leave this like this. It's got enough moisture in it. But with the arugula, we're going to do something a little different. So I'm just going to go around the edge first and then just put a little bit of water in the middle. I'm not trying to like wet. You know, I'm not trying to make it like super wet. Good enough. I just want a layer of moisture in that level of the soil. Now I'm going to go grab my coco coir. Put in about that much coco coir. Just try and get a nice level bed over top of it here. And now here we go with compacting it. Put it right on the edge. Push my thumb down and then push back on the back because I'm trying to get that. See, I got that whole. Arugula is one of the, I think, one of the better microgreens to grow. I like how fast it is. I like how it tastes. It's got a very peppery flavor to it. So I've got that good and flattened out. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to wet it down and I'm going to go pretty quick on this. Get it wet down. Alright, now all the soil has gotten some water to it. The water's obviously not standing. It penetrated quite well. It's got like, you know, that feeling that when you take a dish sponge and you squeeze all the water you can out of it and then you feel the surface. That's about what this is feeling like. Alright, so the next thing is that we're going to weigh out our seed. I'm going to get this weighed out. And I'm going to put 3/4 of an ounce of seed in here. Okay, let's get it up to 0.75. Close enough, 0.76. We'll call it good enough. We're not, this isn't rocket science. I keep telling people this isn't rocket science. So that's close enough. You can see the seed in there. And let's talk about arugula seed. Arugula seed has a glue-like substance on the outside and of the seed. If you take these seeds and you soak them in water, they're going to get a big round, I don't know if you've done it with chia seed before, but they're going to get a big round ball of slime around it, more like glue. Do not let the seeds get clumped. This is one that you want to really take your time seeding. I don't want any of these seeds touching each other. If you have a problem with that, seed it lighter. You're better off seeding it lighter than heavier if you have a problem putting them in a large clump. Here's the problem with clumping these. You know how on the other seeds, when I get a clump, I just kind of push the seeds over. Remember that these seeds turn to like glue, so they stick to you. And so trying to move them once they're seeded is really not a good option. These seeds, if they're touching each other, will have a tough time germinating. So you want to make sure there's some air space around them. So that's why I'm taking my time seeding this tray. I always seed the edges first. Just the way that I seed. If you end up with extra seeds, they have kind of some airspace to grow because you know, they can hang over the edge. So my feeling is if I'm going to have extra seeds, I want them around the edge. I don't want a clump extra seed in the middle. Okay, so now I'm going to start coming back. Just tapping it with my finger on the solo cup. It sets up like a vibration. The higher you lift it, the more spread you get with the seeds. You put your cup closer, the less spread that you get with your seeds. So you can kind of regulate where the seeds are going. Now with this wet down, they don't bounce as much. I'm not going to say they don't bounce, they just don't bounce as much. Now if you look back here, I've got kind of a clump there and a clump there. We're going to see how those germinate. Now that's not a clump like a really, really bad clump. I don't know, maybe I should make a really bad clump so you guys can see what I'm talking about as these things germinate. Okay, now I'm going to tell you the secret of arugula. These are not going to get any water for the next 24 hours. You have watered them as much as they're going to get. The thing with arugula is that if it forms that mucousy, snotty-like covering over the seed, it blocks the oxygen from getting to the seeds. You block that oxygen from getting to the seeds, and your germination is going to take days. If you put enough of it, days and days and days, and the seeds will rot before they germinate. So the secret with arugula is you starve them for water when you first do them. Okay, that's it. I'm going to mist the inside of this tray, but I want this tray just completely moistened like this. And I am going to cover this tray with the black one here. Okay, so I've got that covered. You notice I'm not putting any weight on it. I am just covering it. Okay, here's what the arugula looks like tonight. I planted these this morning. So this is about 12 hours in. You can see they've kind of got, see how they kind of glisten? And see how they're all puffed up? They've all puffed up. And they're glistening, and they've actually absorbed that much water. Okay, here's the video update on the arugula that got planted yesterday afternoon. So this is about 18 hours into it. Look at those beautiful plants. So we go ahead and see how many of them actually have germinated. So our next step here is to bring this over to the sink. We're going to wet it down really good and water it down really good, and then we're changing the lid over. So our goal here is to rinse these seeds off pretty good with a good stream of water. Get them nice and rinsed. And I don't know if you can see that stream of water very good. So I got them all nice and wet, and so now we're going to put the lid on it. Now the very important thing about putting this lid on at this point is that you want to make sure that you do not move it. You're going to leave it there. You're going to wait until the plants push the lid up. So let's take a look at putting that on. Now remember, we are only about 18 hours into this seeding, and so you can see everything's got a tail on it. Everything is germinated. Everything's got a root that's looking for a home. and we want to make sure that that root has a good chance to get established. So we're going to take our lid. Now we've given them a good soak, and we're putting the lid back on them. And now they're going to get weight. Okay, I brought the concrete cinder blocks over, put them on top, and got it good and covered. Lots of pressure on those seeds. And now we're just going to put it back. And we'll look at this tomorrow and see if the gap between here and here has gotten any bigger. You can see right now the gap's about the size of my nail. So tomorrow we'll see where the gap's at. Okay, this is the next video on the arugula. Remember, we planted it basically on the 17th. Today is the 19th. So yesterday, let me just recap. So the first day on the 17th we planted it, and we put the lid up on it. On the 18th we put the lid down on it. Now you can look here that the plants are starting to squeeze through the sides, and it's actually lifted the tray completely up off the other tray. Okay, I've taken the lid off of this. You can see here that the plants are about level. It's really hard to get a perspective on this. The plants are about level with the top of the tray, and they've pushed themselves all up. Gives it a little bit of different perspective here. So yeah, that's a good picture right there. So you can see they're about level with the top of the tray. That's with 15 pounds of weight they were able to do that. Hi, I wanted to interrupt this video and just make some observations here. When we have that weight on, we're looking to accomplish a couple of different goals here. One is that we want the root to really dive into the soil very well. And by this tray you can see that was done very good. When I rub my hands against the top, which is going to be coming up, we're not flipping out plants onto my hand. If I'm flipping out plants onto my hand, the root is not established well. The other thing that you can see by looking here is that the plants have a very thick stem to them, and so the weight has made the stems thicken and given them a very good foundation. The last thing is that as it does this, it takes the plants and it washes the hull using that lid, and it helps them shed the hulls that are on them. And so we'll get back to the video, but I just wanted to throw that all in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just rub it a little bit on top and make sure that there's not a lot of hulls and junk that got stuck to them. You can see there's hardly any with this. They've shed those hulls completely. And so give it a rub and rinse off my hand, and then I'll just spray this down, and we're going to flip the lid. Remember, I had said that we have this area that we have to watch, that the seeds are really planted quite heavy. This is that area. It looks pretty darn good. We ended up with good germination on it, and I think that a lot of that was because we put exactly the right amount of moisture on this. You can see in looking at this, I don't see any seeds that did not germinate. Oh, there's one there. And we got a pretty good consistent germination on this. There's a couple there. So remember that these seeds, the official germination on it was only 80%. So I think that whatever we're doing, however they tested them, we're actually getting better germination than they did. Okay, now we put this black lid back on with plenty of room to let the plants grow at this point. We've seeded them. They've gotten good germination. We've gotten good pressure on them to create a stronger stem and also get the root dug into the soil really well. now we cover them, giving them space to grow. And so tomorrow we'll take a look at this again, but it probably won't be tomorrow. With arugula, what you're looking for is this tray being actually lifted off the ground. The last one that I did that it came up perfect, this tray was lifted a half an inch before we exposed it to light. Remember that with arugula, you have to get all your growth on your stems before you expose it to light. Once you expose it to light, you will not get any more height. Okay, here, let's look at the arugula. Remember yesterday we put the lid on top of it, and this is what it looks like today. Look how it's lifted that lid up, and you can see that it's started to lift the lid, and give you a finger size, about 1/4 inch. Update on the arugula. So here it is. I said that we would leave it this morning, and throughout the day this is how high it's grown, and it was just split a little bit before, so that's going to be about the height that I want it before I expose it to light. So here it is, and there's what it looks like. That is a beautiful, consistent crop. Look how beautiful that looks. Okay, that will get light tomorrow morning. Well, unfortunately, I forgot to add in some videos and take some pictures of this arugula as it developed. So here's a picture of some other that I had, and this was right when I exposed it to light. Now this is the next day, it's coming into light. By the way, you can see the radish next to that. And then the next day looked like this, growing pretty good, getting some height to it. And then I've got one last picture of us enjoying eating it. So this was it was completely done, and you can see we got really good height on it. And that's the goal when you leave it starved for light. Alright, enjoy growing arugula. I also need you guys to like and subscribe to my videos. It's really going to help me out in the long run, and as a gift to me, if you could do that, I'd really appreciate it. Also, share this video with some of your friends, and that will help me out in my analytics. If you like the video, give me a thumbs up. If you don't like the video, give me a thumbs down, but please send me comments. Let me know what you're thinking. Thanks. Have a blessed day.